Now we have entered our information, our tracker is ready to use to help us control our finances and achieve our financial goals. In this section, we will look at how to use and manage the tracker and show you how versatile it can be. Before we move on to using the tracker, we need to remind you of the most important mindset change you need to make, and that is to commit time to regularly checking your current financial situation and updating the tracker. We briefly mentioned the process earlier, but now you know more about your mindset changes, your financial goals, and the tracker. Let's recap on the theory of how this works, as this is key to ensuring you are successful in achieving control of your money. To be in control of your money, you need to know what is happening with your bank account. A lot of people do not like to look at their account because they know that they've probably spent too much and won't like what they see. If this is you, then you need to overcome the fear of looking at your bank account and should be checking it every few days. Use the techniques outlined in our Mindset Changes sections to help you make the switch and overcome the negative thoughts that are holding you back. Internet banking and smartphones make this very easy to regularly check your finances. So look at what your bank offers and make sure you use the services they provide to make it as easy as possible to access your account. In theory, the tracker on your bank account should align very closely if you have entered all your regular income and estimated spending costs. But we know from experience that there will be times when they become out of sync. This will be because you are either spending more than you thought on a regular basis, have not entered all your regular monthly costs into the tracker, or you have had a spending spree and spent more than you had planned to. This is where the tracker helps to focus your mind. The tracker is a forecasting tool, whereas your bank account tells you how much money you have actually spent, and unfortunately, your bank is rarely wrong. It happens all the time, but it is not a problem because you simply need to update the tracker on a regular basis with your current situation and then use the tracker to rebalance your finances. It is so simple, and we will show you some examples of this later in the section. As with your bank account, you should be thinking about your financial goals on a regular basis. These don't have to be big, but you might want to save for some new clothes or buy a new item that costs a few £100s. You may just want to save as much money as you can, or you may have larger plans to buy a house or a new car. By evaluating your goals, you will know what you want so that you can put the right plan in place. Use the tracker to plan for your financial goals. It is so simple to do just by adding lines or using the money jars function. We will run through some examples later in this section so that you can see how it works and how easy it is. Okay, so that is the theory out of the way. Let's open the tracker and show you how to manage it using examples from everyday situations. To show you the tracker in action, we will step through a couple of months of use, and for the purpose of the demonstration, we will update our tracker on a weekly basis. On the right-hand side of the screen, we will display our simulated bank account, which will show the weekly income and outgoings. We will be demonstrating this using British pounds as the currency, but the process is the same if you are using euros, dollars, or whatever your local currency is. As we step through the information, we will show you how easy it is to use and will demonstrate the following. Everyday use to manage your income and outgoings. Using the money jars function. Planning for purchases, planning for savings goals. We will also show you some handy tricks and tips that we have learnt during our many years of using the tracker. Okay, let's open the tracker and start using it. The first step is to check your current bank balance. In our example, this is £320, so we need to enter this into the bank balance cell. We can now see that the tracker has started to forecast our finances based on the information we have entered. On the whole, it is not too bad, but you can see that there is 1 week that the tracker is forecasting that we will exceed our overdraft limit, so we need to be careful with our spending to try and avoid this. So on the 16th of March, we check our bank and see that our balance is £140. So let's update the bank balance cell. We can also see that we have some outgoings from the week before, which shows the money we have spent on petrol, food, and going out. This spend is reflected in our bank balance, which we have just updated on the tracker, So all we need to do is to delete the items that we know have already been taken from our bank account. You can see from this that our forecast remains the same. We have spent exactly what we expected. We can also see that we are still expected to exceed our overdraft limit as we have not reduced our spending. So it's the 23rd of March. We check our bank and our balance is £8, so we update the bank balance cell. Our outgoings show the money we spent on petrol, food and going out. You can see from our outgoings that we actually spent less than we had forecast. The process is the same, and we just need to delete the items that have already been taken from our bank account. All the savings are automatically carried forward, so there's no need to add things up or micromanage the spreadsheet to enter what you actually spent. This also applies if you have overspent, as this will show in the forecast. For example, let's say we actually spent an extra £100 on going out. Our balance would be minus £92, and the tracker would show this as well as the impact on our future spending. It is so simple to update and provide you with instant feedback. Okay, let's put our bank balance back to £8 and see how we are doing. We can see from this that as long as we are careful with our spending next week, we are not expected to exceed our overdraft limit anymore. Okay, it is now the 30th of March and we check our bank and have a balance of minus £139 and we update the bank balance cell. We had outgoings last week for petrol, food and going out, so delete these items from the tracker. As we limited our spending this week, we did not exceed our overdraft limit. One thing to note here, we are checking our bank and updating the tracker on a weekly basis just for demonstration purposes. If you are this close to your overdraft limit, then you need to be checking your bank account more often and ensuring you are not likely to go over. As we have said before, the less money you have left at the end of each month, the more control you need to have. So now it is the 6th of April, and as well as our outgoings, we also have had some income this week. We check our bank and can see that we received the money from our partner as well as being paid. So all we need to do is to update our balance to 1,274 and delete the income entries. Then we just follow the same process as before and delete all of the outgoings that have been taken from our account. So we delete the mortgage, gas and electric, petrol, phone, food and the figures for going out. We also want to save some money this month using the money jars function. To do this, you just move the costs from the tracker to the money jar section. So we delete the £12 from the top table and add it to the money jars section. We then repeat this for all the other items we want to save for. It really is that simple, and you have easy visibility of everything you are saving for alongside your everyday finances. So it is now the 13th of April. We check our bank and enter our new balance for the week, which is £1,079. As before, we just need to delete the previous week's outgoings from the tracker, which were insurance, petrol, food and going out. You can see that as you remove the entries, you'll be left with lots of empty cells. To tidy this up, you can just move forward any costs that have not come from your account by clicking on them and dragging them over to the week you expect them to be paid. You then hide the unused columns. To do this, highlight the columns you would like to hide, right-click and select Hide. Do not delete the columns, as you will cause errors in the sheet which will look like this. If you do delete the columns, then don't worry, you can undo this by either pressing Ctrl and Z or clicking here. You can also fix the error by clicking on cell E6 and enter the following formula, equals C6, and everything will work as planned. So now we have completed a few weeks, you can see how easy it is to update the sheet by just checking your bank balance and then deleting your forecasted outgoings. For the next few weeks, we will demonstrate some of the different ways that you can use the tracker to manage many different situations. It is now the 20th of April. We check our bank and have a balance of £828, so update the bank balance cell. Then we delete our outgoings for the previous week, which were our water bill, petrol, food and going out. We have also signed up for a music subscription this week, so need to add this to the tracker. This will be a monthly cost, so to do this and make it as simple as possible for us to enter the information, we will insert a line underneath the current monthly cost. This way we can use our keyboard shortcuts to quickly copy the information across the sheet. Let's show you how to do this. Start by highlighting a line underneath your monthly cost. We will put ours under the phone entry. Right-click and then choose Insert from the pop-up menu. Then enter the description you want, in our case, music subscription. Then enter the monthly cost underneath the phone cost. You can then highlight both costs and press Ctrl and C to copy the information. Then highlight the top cost, press Ctrl and right arrow to move to the next month, then Ctrl and V to paste. Then Ctrl and right arrow to move again, then Ctrl and V to paste. Then repeat these two shortcuts to quickly paste the information across the tracker. And there we have it. Our new item has been included within our forecast. It is now the 27th of April. We check our bank account and our balance is £444. So we update the bank balance cell. We check our outgoings and delete the items from the previous week which were for petrol, food and going out. We can also see that we had a bit of a spending spree and spent £200 on some new clothes. As this was an unplanned expense, all we need to do is update our balance and the impact of the spending spree will be factored into our future finances. You can then adjust your future outgoings if you need to, which will bring your finances back into line. It is now the 4th of May. We check our bank and our balance is £1,852, which includes our income for the month, so we update the bank balance cell. We then delete all of the outgoings that have been taken from our account: the mortgage, gas and electric, petrol, phone, the music subscription, food and going out costs. Next we will add this month's savings to the money jars section. You can either add this up in your head and change the values, or you can use Excel to add the values together. It is up to you how you approach this, and both methods work exactly the same. Our finances are looking okay, so let's plan for some purchases by inputting them into the tracker and looking at the impact. For one-off purchases, you don't really need to add a new line. You can just enter it anywhere in the yellow section of the tracker and add a note to the cell to remind you. Let's say this week we want to buy some more clothes and some kitchen equipment. All we need to do is enter the cost into the tracker and we can see the impact and whether it is affordable. So we will enter £150 for the new clothes in one cell and £50 in the other cell for kitchen equipment. To add a note, just right click on the cell and select New Note. You can then write whatever you want as a reminder and also change the colour of the text if you want. We can see it's affordable, so can proceed with the purchase. It is the 11th of May and our bank balance is £1,464, so we update the bank balance cell. We then delete all of our outgoings for the previous week, which were insurance, petrol, food, going out, and the purchase of the clothes and kitchen equipment we made the week before. We've decided that we do not want the kitchen equipment and want to return it. The tracker is really useful for this, as you can add the expected refund cost to the tracker. This serves two purposes. Firstly, cost is factored back into your finances, and secondly, it can serve as a reminder to return the item or to check that you have received the funds, as refunds can take some time. You can use this technique in many ways to remind you of things. An example of this are products that offer cashback after a certain amount of time. You can add things to the tracker as a reminder many months in advance. It is the 18th of May. We check our bank account and our balance is £1,254, so we update the bank balance cell. We then delete all of the outgoings for the previous week, which were the water bill, petrol, food and going out. This week we have also identified a savings goal. We would like to put some money aside for some furniture for the house and want to save £100 per month. To do this, just add a line to the tracker as we did before, underneath an existing monthly cost. Then enter your monthly cost and copy this across the tracker by selecting the two cells and using our shortcuts, Control and C, Control right arrow, then Control and V. Then Control and right arrow, followed by Control and V to repeat copying the costs to however many months you want to save for. Next, add a line to the money jars section, which will give you a savings pot to add the funds to. Do this by inserting a line in the middle of the table. By doing this, it will mean that you do not have to change any formulas, as Excel will do all the work for you. Then you just need to add your description and you are ready to start saving. So it is the 25th of May and our account is showing £1,083, so we update the bank balance cell. We have received a refund for our kitchen equipment, so can delete that entry on the tracker. We then delete all of the outgoings for the previous week, which were for some birthday presents, petrol, food and going out. We have now been through a couple of months of using the tracker and demonstrated many different situations of how it can be used in everyday circumstances. Next, we will show you a few more scenarios as well as a few handy tips and tricks. If you are running out of dates or would like to extend the forecast by a period of time, then it is so easy to add additional dates. To do this, go to the end of the tracker and highlight two cells of both the date and balance section. Then hover over the bottom right of the cells and you will see a little plus icon. Click on this, drag this to the right and add the number of additional dates that you want to. Then do the same with the orange running total line by highlighting two cells, hovering over the bottom right and copying it to the same place as the date and balance. You will see that all the formulas have been copied across. You can now add all your expected incomings and outgoings by copying and pasting, just as we did earlier in the tutorial. A good tip when updating the tracker is to make a note of the balance several weeks into the future, preferably at the end of the next month. In this example, we will choose this week and enter it underneath. This is handy for several reasons. Firstly, the forecast is dynamic, and every time you make a change, the running total values will change. This is what the tracker is supposed to do, to give you instant feedback. By making a note, you will know what your target was and how accurate your forecasting is. The second benefit is that if you have made a mistake when updating the tracker, then this can help as a visual aid to identify this. In our example here, we have made an error when changing the petrol forecast and accidentally entered £300. We can instantly see that something is not right. A quick check and we can identify the problem and change this back. Update the check and balance note on a regular basis as your spending changes so that you can give yourself that visual target to use as your finances change over time. This isn't essential, but we have found it very useful and wanted to share this very handy tip. We have shown you how to save using the money jars function, which is an amazingly simple technique for saving. We will now show you how this works when you want to pay for items that you have saved for. This could be one of your savings goals or simply one of your annual purchases. We will quickly update our check and balance so you can see how this works. In this example, as we check our bank account, we can see that our car insurance money has been taken from our account. All we need to do in this circumstance is to update our bank balance and then delete the car insurance costs from the money jars section. You can see that this has no impact on our running total and there is no big dent in our monthly spending. It is a great feature, and even if you just use it for a few items, it will have a big impact on your finances. In the examples we have used, we have shown you a healthy bank account as we were demonstrating the process and how the tracker works. We know that not all bank accounts will look like this and wanted to show you how powerful the tracker is to rebalance your finances. This is particularly useful if you are trying to reduce your debts as this can help you create a budget plan so that you can start to release funds to pay down the debt. We will use this sheet as an example, which shows an unhealthy situation. If we skip forward to the end of the year, we can see that if we carry on at this rate, then we will be well over £2,000 in debt. We need to rebalance our finances. To do this, let's look at some everyday spending costs that we will reduce and see how this impacts our forecasted debt. First, let's make a note of the last balance in the sheet so that we can see the impact our changes make as we create our new budget plan. Next, let's reduce our weekly food costs to £80. You can either copy this to each individual cell, or to do this quickly, highlight the line, press Ctrl and F, which will open the Find and Replace tool. Then click the Replace tab. You will need to enter the current spending in the top box, which in this case is £100. Then in the bottom box, enter your target spending, which in this example will be £80. Then click Replace All. The tracker will then change all the values to our new target. We can see that this has had a big impact on our forecasted debt, but we need to do more. Next, we will follow the same process and reduce our going out cost to £40 per week. As before, highlight the row, press Ctrl and F, which will open the Find and Replace tool. Then click the Replace tab, enter the current spending in the top box, which in this case is £50. Then in the bottom box, enter your target spending, which in this example will be £40. Then click Replace All. We are nearly there, but we still need to identify some more savings. Next, we will reduce our petrol cost to £25 per week. Highlight the row, press Ctrl and F, which will open the Find and Replace tool. Then click the Replace tab, enter the current spending in the top, which in this case is £30. Then in the bottom box, enter your target spending, which in this example will be £25. Then click Replace All. This small change has made quite a difference, but we are still not quite there. Next, we will reduce our holiday savings to £70 per month. Highlight the row, press Ctrl and F, which will open the Find and Replace tool. Then click the Replace tab, enter the current spending in the top box, which in this case is £100. Then in the bottom box, enter your target spending, which in this example will be £70. Then click Replace All. This is looking so much better, but as we look through the sheet, we can see that there are a few weeks where we will exceed our overdraft limit. Let's reduce a couple of our ad hoc birthday costs and see if we can bring this back into line. We can now see that we have managed to rebalance our finances for the next year, and if we can stick to this, then we will stay out of debt. If you are in debt, using the tracker will help you see light at the end of the tunnel. We realise this is only an example, but we hope we have been able to demonstrate how powerful this tool can be. When combined with your mindset shifts and factoring in your ability to adapt and change as life progresses, the tracker will give you so much control to be able to plan and achieve your financial goals and aspirations.